All right, well, today, let's see, we're going to talk about batteries, fires. We're going to talk about fire today. Kind of reset my camera here so I can read this off the screen. Sources for this is Allied Insurance Group and NHTSA, which is a National Highway Transportation Safety Administration. So this is all valid data. And insurance companies, they provide their information to NHTSA, so that's kind of the big pot full of info. So we all know that batteries catch on fire, and if you have an electric car, you got to be really careful because they explode like dynamite and everybody dies. So here we go. Here's the headline: another car park fire. Another day where claims concerning the dangers of electric vehicles, EVs, are highlighted by some of the media. But is this concern justified? Do EVs pose a greater risk than internal combustion engines and ICE-driven vehicles? A large fire occurred in October 23 in the external car parks at Luton Air Force Airport in England. Immediately after the fire, there were rumors that it was caused by electric vehicles. The fire brigade later confirmed it was caused by a diesel car suspected to be in the source of the fire. As it turns out, the police chief issued a statement saying that the media had no intelligence when they reported the EV fire rumor, and suggested it was nothing other than an accidental fire that started with one of the vehicles that arrived at the airport. It was not an EV, it was a diesel-powered vehicle. The fire broke out on October 10th, stopped flights for a period, no serious injuries were reported, and 1,200 cars were damaged. Well, you can imagine, if a car catches on fire in a car park at an airport, yeah, it's going to really raise hell. So, here's some statistics. Well, they do catch on fire, I will admit that, but not in the numbers that people think. And I was actually really surprised at the variance in numerical data regarding EV fires. When they do catch on fire, it's usually because there's an internal short, because the batteries are protected by fuses. So if you were to short together the terminals on the battery, it would just pop the fuse. It wouldn't do anything. Just like if you short out an outlet in your house, it just pops the fuse. The house doesn't burst into flames or anything like that. Thermal runaway is what happens. So if there's an internal short in the battery, or if the BMS gets goofy or something where you're charging and it doesn't stop charging, and the batteries heat up, and it goes into what they call thermal runaway, which is really the same as putting gasoline on the stove and boiling it. It's not going to take much for that thing to just explode. So, it's kind of similar. So here's the data, actually, and this is per 100,000 cars. So according to the NTSB, out of 100,000 cars, this is hybrids. Hybrids are the most prone to fire. They are by far the worst. Out of 100,000 sales, 3,474 and a half, I don't know where you get the half from, so it was 3,474 fires per 100,000 for hybrids, 1,530 standard ICE cars in 100,000, and for 100,000 cars in EVs, 25. Now 1,500 is a lot more than 25, and 3,400 is a lot more than 25. So 25 cars caught on fire. And that is data used, this data was acquired between 2017 and 2020. So that's kind of combined data. Going forward, that number 25 is probably going to drop pretty much to zero. The lithium iron phosphate batteries don't catch on fire. You can charge them to 100%. Yeah, it'll be pretty much zero. You know, you can make a LFP battery catch on fire, but you have to put it in a fire for it to happen, what it kind of boils down to. So are batteries really that dangerous? No. No. In fact, you know, we did get rid of our Kia Sorento because there was a warning issued not to park it indoors because they catch on fire. That was an ICE vehicle. They catch on fire. Ford has been doing recalls on cars that catch on fire. Mazda did. There's a lot of, well, you don't hear about it because if you don't own one, you don't get the recalls. But there's a lot of ICE vehicles that they recommend you don't park them inside. I think a lot of it, and I'm just speculating, is because of high pressure fuel systems. I mean, when you pressurize gasoline to 1500 psi, and if it ever springs a leak, you have vapor, which is really explosive, and you have red hot exhaust. The two together are not a good combo. But then there's, you know, I've actually witnessed, I know one time, this is many years ago, this is Owatonna, Minnesota. I was at a Walmart when they just opened a Walmart over there. And it was kind of, well, it's funny now, but it wasn't at the time. Walked down to the parking lot, and these guys were standing there pointing at this car, and I look and hear it smoking. And the car's on fire. And this was before EVs even existed. And the lady comes out, and she runs her shopping cart up by her car, and she's trying to unlock the door, and people are yelling at her, "Lady, your car's on fire." And she looked at the smoke and starts crying. So they had to kind of shuffle her away from the car as it burned to the ground. And there was a lot of explosions, but it was the tires actually popping. That was one. And then about a month later, I was at a eating establishment, which was the Broaster, where they have chicken. And a gal pulled up front, wanted to use the phone so that, you know, this is before cell phones even. She wanted to use the phone so she could call her husband because the car is really hot. And I look out in the parking lot, I said, "Lady, your car is on fire." And her car is burning. And I witnessed at least 3 cars parked on the side of the road that had caught on fire in my lifetime. You know, not all at once. Personally, I've had several car fires. But, you know, just working on cars. But, you know, they were minor. You put the fire out. Did have one recently that was a total loss. It happens. You know, gasoline is wicked. I don't keep any gas in my garage. I keep it in the backyard, in the shed. In fact, I only own a half a gallon of gas. Besides my motorcycle. That's the only gasoline I have. It's pretty wicked stuff, especially when it's hot. So, you know, do batteries catch on fire? Not really. I mean, really, 25 out of 100,000? I'm trying to do the math here. That's, what is that? For 1 million cars, that would be what? 2,500. Doesn't even come close to hybrids in 1 million cars. And what did they say hybrids were? You know, hybrids are just a bad deal. You have the complexity of the engine transmission combined with a half-hearted attempt at a battery and electric motor. It's just, hybrids are really designed for people who don't understand electric cars and are afraid of mileage limitations. But anyway, there's a lot of videos out there about fires and not fires and the safety. So EVs really are the safest vehicles you can own. I have no problem parking my 2 EVs in the garage along with my 20 or so lithium-ion batteries, which I use for lawnmowers and snowblowers and weed whips and all that kind of stuff, electric drills and impact wrenches, and all battery powered. You know, so can it happen? Sure. Anything can happen, but what are the odds? That's what you got to look at, is what are the odds? So anyway, we'll talk to you later.